My life has always been work and work has always been my life. One thing that I do very poorly is time management. My only ambition was to get married and have lots of children. The word impossible, improbable does not exist in my lexicon, and I would urge every young man or woman to follow that advice.
What makes a leader truly a leader of people?
A leader who makes himself completely redundant in the role actually develops more and more leaders so that he in turn can focus on the vision and the next steps that the company needs to embark on.
What turns people into believers of a cause?
Every individual have to remember that the society has put me in this business to serve a purpose, and am I living up to that promise?
Is the theory on just maximizing shareholder returns today redundant?
I think there is a significant shift now in looking at return to stakeholders rather than focusing on only one metric of return to shareholders. So it is more of a balance. You cannot say that I will lose sight of quarter to quarter performance, but that cannot be at the expense of creating long-term value.
How is AI driving change in leadership? Is it going to make things more humane or automated going forward?
When computers first burst upon India, there was a section of the state-owned banks that felt that this is going to lead to job losses. You've seen the reverse happening. Those productive gains that you got actually enabled people to focus on selling skills, creating a product suite and a services suite for their customers. Similarly, AI, I think, is going to be another big game changer. A lot of repetitive tasks are really what the machines are going to be doing for us. I think in the case of AI, ML and generative AI, your guardrails are something that we should be thinking about first, even as we harness the positive energy of these new developments.
What do you think is the world adopting from India today on leadership?
So first of all, it is such a proud moment for Indians to see so many Indian-born CEOs in the top Fortune 500 companies. And you know, some of the criticisms that were always leveled at the Indian education system has actually been proved wrong. Given some of the hardships that we have faced in the 75 years of our independence, that has enabled us to be much more agile. But I think underlying all that is this unique Indian culture that the world is a village, we are all a family, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. And when you combine that with some of the efficiencies that the first world offers to you, it's no surprise that they are shining so well.
What would be the three most defining problems that leaders should solve for in the coming decade?
Climate risk is definitely one that comes at the top of my mind. The other is, with all of the advances that we are making in technology, digitization, the proliferation of that, what are some of the mishaps that can happen in use of that? I mean, today factories are going to be completely connected with IoT devices, and if someone really wanted to bring you down, all that they needed to do is a cyber attack on that system. The other is, India has a very young force, right? We're probably one of the large economies' youngest workforce here. How do you ensure every single day that that person truly lives for the purpose for which the companies come into existence?
How does Kalpana Morparia run an effective meeting?
An external meeting, I'm a strong believer that you actually need to do not just a lot of homework yourself in terms of what you want to get out of that meeting, but you also want to be in a position to do one-on-one with the key opinion leaders and decision makers in that committee, such that you know exactly what's going to come your way into that meeting and get the outcome that you desire out of that meeting. So doing that initial internal preparation as also engaging with the right people will definitely ensure the outcome that you think you wanted out of it.
A sentence or word that best describes Kalpana's leadership style?
Empathetic.
3 words that describe you as a leader?
I think I'm extremely purpose-driven, extremely performance-driven. Some might say a guide and a counselor to a lot of my colleagues. But a lot of people who worked alongside with me will tell you, but she was an equally hard taskmaster.
What's the one trait of a good leader that you fell short of?
One thing that I do very poorly, and I've just not managed to get that right, is time management. I know of leaders who've been so good at managing their time, and that has actually ensured that they have multiple interests other than their work. For me, my life has always been work, and work has always been my life.
Kalpana, what's been the most useful career advice you've received? Who did it come from? What did they tell you?
It actually came from Mr. K.V. Kamath, and it's not that he gave me this advice in spoken words. Through his actions, I could understand, what made him such a successful leader, and I tried my best to emulate that. And that is to recognize talents and skills in people that they themselves did not know they had it.
So Kalpana, what's your favorite failure?
One of my greatest personal failures in life, where my only ambition was to get married and have lots of children. Instead, I ended up getting married all right, but having no children.
So in the last couple of years, what do you think you've become better at saying no to?
So, I grew up, my career was in ICICI. I joined ICICI in 1975. And when I retired from ICICI in 2008, ICICI was known for the number of women leaders that it has spawned, right? At one time, out of the 5 management directors on the ICICI board, 3 were women. So men were in minority actually. And therefore, I thought that was the worldview, right? That you don't do anything. And ICICI did nothing special for women. So we thought just creating a gender neutral organization and doing nothing was the way to go. It was a rude shock when I realized it, that ICICI was an exception. It was an island. And that's not true. And anytime people would invite me for women events, I would say, no, don't do anything special for women. And then I realized how wrong I was in trying to superimpose what worked for ICICI everywhere else in the world. And so today, I hardly ever say no to anyone who asks me to speak at a women's event.
And what's Kalpana's proudest moment when you felt that your leadership really made a difference?
So there were several such moments in ICICI. If I had to pick one, it would be the reverse merger of ICICI with ICICI Bank way back in 2001. That was actually the first true universal bank in India, and I was so lucky to be a part of that. I was driving that project for ICICI. That was truly a proud moment.
So many people look up to you. What's your advice to people who want to be successful like you?
So the word impossible, improbable does not exist in my lexicon, and I would urge every young man or woman to follow that advice.
One thing you've learned never to do as a CEO?
Never to berate people in public, praise them in public. Whatever feedback you have to give them, do it in private.
One thing you've learned always to do as a CEO?
Align the organization to the purpose of the company.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Kalpana's most prized possession?
My scriptures.
One task that Mr. Kamath or Jamie Dimon gave you that you secretly never did?
I don't believe so.
Your secret workday time waster?
Daydreaming.
Inside the deal room of Walmart and Flipkart, or movie night with the ladies of ICICI?
Movie night with the ladies of ICICI.
Lunch with Jamie Dimon or movie with Shah Rukh Khan?
I would prefer to do coffee with Jamie Dimon, but definitely dinner with Shah Rukh Khan.
If you weren't a banker, you would have been?
A teacher.
One final message to aspiring CEOs and leaders?
The world is your oyster, and if you're an Indian CEO, there's no better place to be in.
One secret nobody knows about you?
You would have thought that I always wanted to be a career woman. The sad truth is that all that I wanted to do is complete schooling, get married and have lots of children. But I had to deal with a mother who insisted that I complete my graduation, become economically independent. I thought after I became economically independent, at least I would get to lead a good, happy married life. I had a husband who encouraged me to complete my law degree, and then I joined ICICI. And the switch happened from a silly, giddy girl who only wanted to enjoy life into completely doing what was good for India, because ICICI gave a great platform to doing what was good for India. Hi, Ruben.
This is a bit of a disappointment. It's me on this side and not Shah Rukh Khan.
So I continue to look at Ruben all the time. Yeah, that's more important than the face also. So you can